Alright, how's it going? This video is going to be a introduction, if you will, sort of an honest, modest review of Guilty Gear 2 Overture. Now, I am very biased towards this game, but I figured I might as well give you the rundown for the Steam version of the game, and basically give you sort of what this game is all about. So, to put it bluntly, for those of you that don't really know much about Guilty Gear 2, because, you know, however everyone says this game sucks, it was released originally on the Xbox 360 back in 2007 and 2008. The game was a bomb for all intents and purposes. The game was an absolute... It just did terrible, right? And then something happened with the Guilty Gear license after this game came out or something. We didn't see another Guilty Gear game until Xrd. But this game was such a wild departure from other games, from the other Guilty Gear games, as it tried to do something completely different that the creator of the game always wanted to make, which was a action RTS game. If you think that sounds crazy, well, basically all I can say is take a game like Anarchy Reigns and mix it with Warhammer 40k, and you basically get Guilty Gear 2. So you kind of already know how this game's sort of going to play. It's all going to be about map control. It's all about racing out in the early game, capturing as many nodes as possible to give yourself the biggest economy over your opponent. There's 3 game modes. There's 1v1, 2v2, and points mode, and we'll get into that later. But anyway, so I guess first, because this is a PC game, let's look at the options menu. Now, here's the biggest problem with Guilty Gear 2 right now. This port is shit. It is really shit. But there's a big but, alright? So the game runs at 720p. You can't change the resolution, and it runs in window mode automatically. You can change it to full screen by pressing F11, alright? Now, there's no graphics options, no texture options, nothing. The game runs the same way it was supposed to run on the Xbox 360. With that said, how does the game actually perform? Well, it actually performs fairly well. The only problems with this game is it has memory leaks every once in a while, and sometimes it'll crash when a lot of things are going on when you're playing the game for a while. Regardless, it still runs fairly well. You need a rather beefy CPU to play this game because, you know, there's stuff going on everywhere in the game, and it's actually very CPU intensive. So I highly recommend that you have a CPU. In addition to that, while this game does have mouse and keyboard controls, they suck. They were tacked on, like, just recently, like less than a year ago, to say, like, hey, look, we got mouse and keyboard controls for a PC game. Highly recommend you have an Xbox 360, Xbox One, or PS4 controller to play this game. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time. But yeah, with options menus, all you have is camera controls, replay options, help options, sound options, and system test, and that's it. Where you can change the voice and the subtitles. But yeah, like, that's it. There's only Japanese and English voices. And yeah, that's it. That's your lot for settings. There's basically nothing. So let's look at the game modes. All right, so there's your exhibition. There's your I'm gonna start with here. There's your campaign mode, which is basically your story mode. The campaign itself is okay. It really does serve as a glorified giant tutorial, which is designed to essentially teach you the basics of the game. You don't really learn the basics of all the masters, but you learn a decent amount of them. It's highly recommended that you go through the campaign, or at least the first half of the campaign, before you jump online or whatever. Exhibition mode allows you to play offline against bots. And it allows you to play all the game modes, and also allows you to play split screen if you have a second controller, which is pretty cool. The problem with this offline mode, though, is the AI is weird. They do a lot of funny things, to say the least, and they also lack one very important ability, which we'll get into. There's your training mode, which allows you to explore the maps, allows you to practice combos, all that kind of stuff. Then there's this free mission mode, which is essentially just like rehashes of the story missions, and also some additional missions that you can do. I mean, you really do this for these achievements and for some practice, but they're like PvE practice, but they're really nothing special, to be honest. Like, all these are literally just the campaign missions just thrown over, but yeah. And then there's a replay viewer, which the replays in this game are not bad. We'll actually dive into more of the replay in this game, and we'll go into it. And then online mode, there is a player match. There is no ranked match in this game, mostly because this game's pretty much dead. They kept saying they were going to put in ranked matches, but, you know, they never did. And the population for this game is basically minuscule. So if you are coming into this game all excited, like, oh yeah, I can't wait to play random people online, well, you're probably not. There's a very, very small amount of people that still play this actively, and most of the people that do play this, like 99% of them, are Japanese, so unless you live on the West Coast, that's going to be problematic for you. With all that put aside, let's actually show
your alter ego
what this game's all about. So you have your master character, which is basically your hero unit, is the main character you're going to control, sort of like, you know, in a MOBA. And each one, with the exception of Kai and Raven, and Soul EX, because that's just Soul with a different costume, has their own tribes, which is basically their own set of units. But what's interesting is every master plays completely differently. Every one of them has their own skills, their own movesets, their own combos, all that kind of stuff. So if we look at Soul Bad Guy, because he's probably the easiest one to play. Actually, let's go to the campaign, this training mode, so I can show you what's going on here.
Alter ego.
So the maps. There's actually a nice variety of maps here. Each one of them's a different size, and there's sometimes multiple versions of each map for 1v1. And all of these maps are available in all of the modes as well, although their layout is drastically different. The maps are okay, but you'll also see in a second that the maps are very MOBA-esque. They have very clear, defined, and structured lanes that your servants basically follow, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll go on to an easy map. We'll do Belcanto Valley. The time of day affects not only the setting of the game, but it also affects the shop, which I'll show in a little bit. It affects what items you can buy. So every unit in the game has their own type, which they're strong and weak against certain things. And as you can see here, they also have their own attacks as well as their own skills. Every unit in the game has their own special, unique traits associated with them, which you can read in the tutorial tips in the game.
There's a battle to be won, round one. Let's rock.
Alright, so let's go to our Master Ghost, which is our main base. And we'll kind of just show this game off. Alright, so here's our Master Ghost. This is our primary structure. And the goal of the game is to basically destroy the enemy's Master Ghost on the other side of the map. Now, the major thing here is that this is your only building in the game. This is a very simplified RTS game. There's no base building, there's no base upgrading. Everything that you summon comes from your main base here. So you can see at the bottom, so as you can see, I'm controlling Soul, as you probably already guessed. I can attack with him, I have different combos, special abilities, and at the bottom of the screen you can see, of course, my health and my tension, which is used for special attacks. On the bottom left of the screen, you can see my inventory. You can hold you can hold 6 items at a time. This includes skills as well as servants. At the top of the screen, you can see the time, the round number, which this game has multiple rounds in it, which I'll explain later. The health of the 2 Master Ghosts, and the shields on both Master Ghosts. You can see there's a shield around my Master Ghost here. And on the top left, you can see our resources. So your primary resource is mana. And as you can see, I'm getting 30 mana every tick. This is the base mana tick. To get more mana, you have to capture these nodes on the map. These are called ghosts, and you capture ghosts by just having your units wail on them until you take them over. Every time you control a new ghost, it grants you a bunch of benefits, like it buffs all of your allies around you, it spawns capture units for you, it restores your health and tension slowly, although not as much as your Master Ghost, and it also, of course, generates mana for you. And you use mana, so this is the Orgon menu. You use this with the left D-pad. And in the Orgon menu is where you buy all of your stuff. So if you press the X button, on the 360 controller, you can see your servants that you can summon. So at the beginning of the game, you can only summon 1 or 2 servant types, depending on which master you're playing. You have to actually research these other unit types throughout the match, and you have to spend mana on them to research them. So every unit here, as you can see, has their own type. The circle being the types they're strong against, the X's being the types they're weak against, and you can also summon some units spawn in groups of 3, while some only spawn in groups of 1. And there's 2 types of units, well, main types of units. There's normal units, and then there's elite units, which are basically your hero units. These guys can only be spawned once per turn, or once per life, I guess. They can only spawn once at a time. Go to the tabs, you can see the skill menu. So every master, as like I said, has their own set of skills. Buy them and put them in your inventory. And you also got items. So items are either one-time use or multi-time use. And like I said, the time of day affects what items appear in this menu. So items in the first menu remain for the entirety of the match, whereas items in the second list appear over time, and once you buy them, they disappear. See? And then they're on a cycle, and the items that appear in both Item 1 and Item 2 depend on the time of day you're playing on in the map. But the time of day for every map is always the same. Like, the items are always the same. So all these items do different things. You got your potions, you got dispels, you got anti-rods, which weaken servants, you got stun grenades, you got some debuffs with your opponent, you got bombs, you got some buffs. Some of these, like I said, are one-time use, some of them multi-time use, etc. And skills last forever as long as you get rid of them. Now, if you press the Y button, you can also sell items in your inventory for some extra mana if you want to get rid of them. But obviously, the price that you sell them for is a lot less than you would. So as you can also see, like I said, based on the map structure, the game is very, very MOBA-esque. There's predefined lanes for each area of the map, but on certain maps like this one, there's some routes that your servants can take differently. So as you can see, from 5 to 3, they can go that way, or they can go from 5-4 to 3. Similarly, up here, they can go from 7 to 6 this way, or 7 to 6 that way, to avoid confrontation. All right. So I guess I'll spawn the capture units. So at the start of a match, capture units will spawn from your Master Ghost when they appear. These are capture units. So capture units are little, I guess they're sort of creeps. I don't know. You can't control these guys directly. What they do is they go to whatever the nearest ghost is, or the next ghost in the chain. So this capture unit is going to go over to that ghost over there. Now, as long as there's not an enemy servant nearby, he'll go right to, or an enemy capture unit, he'll go right to the ghost, and he'll capture the ghost, and he'll affect the capture rate of the ghost. So if I go to the ghost, you can see the bar on top of it. And they do a decent amount, like 25%. Maybe it's like 35%. I can also hit the ghost to take it over. As you can see, it's very slow. And capture units take it a lot faster. So capture units take ghosts the fastest. The second fastest are servants, which are the guys you summon. And the third fastest, of course, are masters, which basically take forever to summon to take over ghosts. So generally, it's usually a bad idea. Now notice over here, when I go to the enemy capture units, they don't do anything. But they die in one hit. And they restore from tension from you as well. So now if I summon this guy, I summon a group of 3 of them, I can tell them where to go. Let's have them go to group 3. So after a little bit of time, they'll get summoned, obviously.
Gotta go.
There he is. He's going to start going to his destination. Now, what you can also do, which is really cool in Guilty Gear 2, is you can pick up your servants in your inventory. And then you can move them around to wherever you want. So I can bring them over here and have them attack the ghost. You can also give them quick commands, so I can have them stay. Now he won't move unless I give him another command. So now I'm making much more resources than before. And my servants are going to their destination. Now if we look at one of the hero units, or one of the elite units, which have the little star next to their name, where they come.
Here we go.
There he is.
What now?
This is Fire Will. He's one of Soul's elite units. Now what you might also notice is on the left side of the screen, you can see all of your servants that are alive, and you can see their health, as well as their blue bar, as well as their experience. So again, very similar to Warhammer 40k, your servants can actually level up over time. They level up just over time, or from certain skills, or from just being attacked or attacking. As they level up, they increase their attack and their defense, which is pretty cool. It's not usually a huge difference, but it definitely can make a difference in some situations when it's just the AIs fighting against each other. You can also pick up your elite units. The only elite units you can't pick up are your elite armors, or in some cases like Soul, your elite magic. Like I can't pick up Queen because Queen is a very special type of unit. She's sort of like a scout who moves very fast, loses her health, but can also take goes very quickly. As you can see, she moves very, very fast. But she's also continuously losing health. I can't pick her up because that would just be ridiculous. So there you go. Now, I obviously can't just immediately rush down the opponent's Master Ghost because it's a barrier. As you can see, I do barely any damage to it, and the barrier also takes a very long time to take down. But servants, on the other hand, I just have one territory, take down barriers a lot faster.
Right away.
So. I missed, but... Yeah, so servants take down barriers a lot faster. Much, much faster than you can. But you can ultimately deal more damage to the Master Ghost, and you're also the only one who can kill the Master Ghost as well. So if your servants get the enemy's Master Ghost down to even 0 health, the match won't end unless you're the one to deal the finishing blow. Now, this game is also an action game. So, your normal run speed's very slow, or your walk speed's very slow, but you can also run around with the left thumbstick. This is called blast driving. You can control your speed, you can drift around, you can avoid enemies, you can do all sorts of fun stuff. Now, it does cost 10% tension. As you can see, if you run into stuff, you'll also get knocked down, or you'll stop, or whatever. So while it does help you get around, it can also be punishing at the same time if you're not paying attention. You can also run into capture moves as well. So it takes a little bit of practice, but you get used to it. Now, like I said, this is also a fighting game. This game's got combos in it. It's got everything you need. It's got a bunch of combos. It's got its own like fighting mechanics. It's got blocking. It's got canceling. It's got sidestepping, which makes you vulnerable if you don't do it right. You know, certain moves can cancel to one another, blah, 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 all that kind of fun stuff. You can also do combos with skills, so here's a good example, something like this. For example. So basically you can lock onto opponents, very similar to something like Anarchy Reigns, and depending on which direction the attack you use, changes your attack. So the controls are pretty simple. You got your neutral attacks, your left attacks, your right attacks, down attacks, and forward attacks. You can also, like I said, you can cancel any attacks with attention. And you also got your like super, or your overdrive as it's called, which is usually when your tension is full, which does a lot of damage for killing enemy units very, very quickly. Some examples of combos and stuff.
Master Ghost under attack.
So, the game kind of comes at a twofold, right? Because not only do you have to learn the controls, you have to learn the RTS mechanics, you have to learn all the troops, what all the troops do, you have to learn what all the troops are capable of, how to fight against them. It has a very steep learning curve, but it's also still very simplistic, even though it does have, it can get pretty deep. It is still very simplistic, in, you know, as opposed to some other RTS games. And as such, it also accumulates a lot of the same spirit, as the game is very punishing if you make mistakes and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I like to rate this game a lot to Warhammer because of how it kind of plays in the early game.
Select your alter
Because
ego.
essentially what you're doing, as you'll see here as I play against the computer, is you very much need to rush out and gain control of important nodes early on in the match. Oh, it actually shows the same map. Look at that. So
There's a battle to be won, round one. Let's rock.
So you can spawn units like right away and just start doing whatever you need to do. So obviously in the early game, we want to very quickly go and capture nodes. Now this is a strategy specific to this map, so don't worry about what I'm doing.
Gotta go.
And then we immediately start going off, pick up our servants, and we can start moving them around. So we can instantly start going for nodes, important positions, to start blocking enemies, because as I said, this game has very well-defined lanes, usually, in maps like this. So it allows you to completely block enemy movement. And then you can also, of course, deal with enemy units as well, by yourself.
Head of the enemy.
Alright. So as you can see, we now have these two nodes up here, and we're gaining more mana, and we're also blocking
enemy.
our enemy's
Head of the
servants.
enemy.
Now he's over here. Your servants will kind of tell you what's going on as they spot
Head
it.
of the enemy.
So he's over here. Let's see. I don't know what he's doing. He's dead. So when we kill him, his Master Ghost's health goes down a little bit. Alright, we gotta help our servants here. Is it the Ghost one? Let's kill these guys. So as you can see, when enemy units capture ghosts, they actually gain more health. Which is not good for me. Or not more health, more defense. Get an elite.
We can handle it. Head of the
Gotta
enemy.
stay. And he'll defend that position.
Head of the enemy.
Oh, these guys come here as well. They're gonna stay
Head
there.
of the enemy.
Tell these guys to retreat because the enemy
Head
master's
of the
there.
enemy. Head of the enemy.
Kill. Let's see if we can fight Sin. I don't know what he's doing up there. He retreated, so I'll have him go back. So as you can see, you have to constantly be aware of what's going on. You have to constantly make judgments and just move around the map a lot, go for positions, go for important positions, and have your units defend them as well. So as you can see, his barrier is getting weaker because we're taking over more of the map. As you take over more ghosts on the map, the enemy's servants continue to get weaker and weaker, until eventually, you win. So eventually, you know,
Head of the
you attack the
enemy.
Master Ghost.
Head of the enemy.
If you control all the ghosts on the map, the Master Ghost barrier goes down to 0.
We can handle it.
So now we have all the ghosts on the map. So as soon as he neutralizes one of them, that barrier starts going back up. It starts. So now it's down to 0.
Head of the enemy. Head of the enemy. Head of the enemy. I'm dead. We can handle it.
He's dead. Now, also when you kill the Masters, you can see the barrier is down to 0. So now I'm just going to go rush his Master Ghost and destroy it. Now he's dead. He's going to respawn after a little bit. There we go. Simple as that. Yeah, so like I said, the CPU in this game is very weird. They always have enough mana to buy an HP potion when they need it. They cheat. They can use moves when they don't have tension. And they also don't pick up servants. But it's a very good mode of practice to get used to the maps, to get used to the characters, to get used to the units, is to play a lot against the CPU and just sort of, you know, get used to the game and see how it goes.
Select your
It's not really
alter
relative
ego.
to how this game looks like online, because this game can get very, very, very fast-paced. And if you're not, we can't find an online match. And if you're not really paying attention or you make the wrong move, you have to constantly be thinking, right? You have to constantly be moving around, going for important positions, defending positions your enemy's trying to go for, and fight them to contest their positions or to ultimately win them over in a fight, so you can push without worrying that they're going to contest your position. So it can get very deep, and it gets very, very, very fast when you jump online. I can actually just show you a quick replay, but you've already seen probably some of them, of a match that I played recently. Let's see if I can find a good one. I could try this one. Although I know this one went pretty bad, but yeah. So so as I said, it can get rather complicated rather quickly. And it can be pretty overwhelming for people who don't know what they're doing. But here's an example of what online kind of looks like, and also what the replay viewer looks like. The only problem with the replay viewer in this game is you can't view what the players are doing in the Orgon menu, but you can kind of see what kind of strategies they were going for here.
Yeah. Gotta go.
So I played as Soul in this match, and this, the guy I went against was playing as Raven. So I started with only 2 servants on this match. I'm going to go down over here. I'll show you my perspective.
Head of the enemy.
So the netcode in this game is pretty good. This was against a Japanese player with about 200 ping, and it ran very well. The netcode, though, is very hit and miss in these situations. Sometimes it'll run fantastic, and other times it won't at all. So you can see I'm testing right here. We're getting a little bit of a fight.
We can handle it. Head of the enemy.
He also can't see his health because
we can handle it.
Yeah, I should have not. I should have.
We can handle it. Alright. So like I said, yeah, you can see how we're both trying to go for important positions. We're running around the map, trying to get, trying to take over points in the early game to get as much mana as possible so we get more troops. So like I said, it's very similar to Warhammer 40k in that aspect, because you're constantly just trying to gain control of important positions and just rushing down the map as fast as much as possible. He's gonna come over and contest me here. There's another fight. Head of the enemy.
What happens here? Oh, oh no, that's not good.
Head of the enemy.
While I'm defending myself in a combo. I think I died here. Yeah, I'm very close to dying. Yeah. So I'm dead. So that kind of sucks for me. So it comes down to not really just, like I said, it doesn't really always come down to your knowledge of strategy, but you also have to know how to fight. Because you're going to get into a lot of these situations where your opponent's going to force you to fight in order to fight for important positions. Otherwise, you're just not really going to be able to do anything. So, as you can see, I'm not really doing that well this match. I already lost most of my map control. So. But yeah,
Head of the enemy.
Some positions.
Head of the enemy. We can handle it.
Pretty much as you expect.
Head of the enemy. We can handle it.
See, in smaller maps like this, it would be much more beneficial to actually try to fight the enemy master to ensure he can't do bad things against you. As you can see, like, he's just destroying all of my units that I'm placing down.
and just allowing his units to just charge in and defend important positions without like any, without me really doing anything. So it kind of sucks that I lost as much as I did. Now I do have the right lane here, as you can see, but now what he's going to do is instantly come after me and start dealing with what I've been doing.
We can handle it.
And even though my units are very spread out, I'm kind of just having them go to their death, as you can see in that left lane up there. And now he's coming over here to fight me. I try to chase him off, but I do catch him out. We're getting a little bit of a fight here. But he's just going to run again, and I'm again going to let him go because I'm an idiot. I really suck at letting people go. But it's one of the one of the finer things of the game that you kind of just got to get used to.
We can handle it.
I'm over here to fight me.
30 seconds left. Hurry.
I don't know how he teched that combo, honestly. Some sort of lag there, I don't know. Oh no, that sucks.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. End of round.
So that was the first round. So, as I mentioned before, there's rounds in this game where after every round, you both get reset back to your Master Ghost. Your servants go back to their last, their closest, allied, claimed ghost. And you also gain a certain amount of income for how well you did in the match. Now, obviously, I didn't do as well, so he's going to get more mana as me, so he's going to have an advantage going into round 2.
There's a battle to be won. Round 2. Keep on rocking.
As you can see, this is exactly what happened. So all units retreated to their nearest friendly ghost, and we both reset back to our position. Now he actually has an elite unit up already. I only bought armor. So I'm trying to make some big plays here. I'm making some placements.
We can
Because
handle
armor
it.
units are good against melee units, so...
Yes, sir.
I should have let them go here. I should have.
Head of the enemy.
He messed up. He's messed up one of his skills. So he placed down a skill that curses enemy servants so they can't attack. But now I'm sort of at disadvantage here because now I don't have any tension. That's not very good. But there we go. That's not my good spell here. So he's used his super as well.
Oh,
Again. Try to take me out. I don't know. Kept him out. Nope, not. So I win this fight. I claim the position. He's going to run away. Again, I really should have tried to catch him out, but it's not what happened. Now, while I'm doing that, you can see over here, his elite armor over here is just decimating my servants on this lane, and he's going to take this lane back over. So that's not very good
we
for
can
me.
do it.
I'm decided to make more placements here.
We can do it. Head of the enemy.
You have to kind of strike a balance between separating your units to take over important positions or to gain, to get more resources, and also keep them together in order to maintain pressure. So it's a very interesting balancing act in that sense. He's got 2 elites now, which is not good for me. I don't have any, so that's going to be very troublesome. Except for maintaining his resources a lot better than I have. Yeah, elite units are very, very strong by themselves, so now he's going to come over and test me again. There goes the skill, so as you can see, my servants are now first and can't attack. Again, I'm into a combo.
Head of the enemy. Head of the enemy. I'm here. I'm here. We can do
Glad he
it.
didn't hit me there. Yeah, I bought pencil guys, I don't know why, but anyway. So this little guy here is a Chamaki, in case you were wondering. Allows you to just free roam the map while in replay. Doesn't serve a lot of purpose, other than just to sort of just look at individual spots on the map, I guess. But, yeah, anyway. So I use Dragon Install here. This does a lot of damage. Okay.
We can handle it. I'm in.
So Dragon Install is one of Soul's skills. Very similar to the 3 games, but he does a lot of damage. But now, as you can see, what he's doing on this side, well, he came to fight me. But if we move over to this side over here, he's once again split pushing. So he's keeping up pressure on the other side by having his elite armor auto. There's not very little I can do because I don't have anything against armor. Sucks for me. Once again, I'm just kind of used to it. So now he has the right lane again. Very quickly going to win this round. There's a barrier burst. It seems there's that barrier burst in it. Very similar to the other two games. So now I'm about to die.
30 seconds left. Hurry.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, I'm pretty much gonna lose this match at this point. Like, look what he's got, look what I got.
9, 8,
10 seconds left.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. End of round.
Alright, I think you got the gist of it. If you're interested in Guilty Gear 2 Overture, definitely check it out on Steam. The link in the description. I lost this match pretty badly, but actually I still had a decent income for this one. But as you can see, I'm still in a huge disadvantage because I haven't won a single fight because I suck at this game. But yeah, that's I hope that's the gist of it. If you're interested in Guilty Gear 2, like I said, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a very unique and very interesting game. If you think this game looked absolute trash, then, you know, that's your opinion. But I love this game personally. It's very unique. It's very fun. You know, unlike anything I've ever played before. And I highly recommend you at least check it out when it goes on sale. Because I don't think it's worth $20, to be honest, because of how bad the port is. Or if it ever goes free, which I'm hoping it will someday. But a man can hope. So, yeah, that's it.